This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Tuesday, August 10. In Squiz Kids Today, Happy Census Day. Vanuatu's cyclone-proof houses. Netball sets its sights on Brizzy Olympics. And Kitty, the cat who wears glasses. That's what's making news, kid style.
The lowdown.
Happy Census Day, everyone. What's the census? Well, it's kind of like a snapshot of the nation, where the government asks questions of all the many millions of households in Australia on one particular night to gather a whole bunch of what's called demographic information. This is stuff like how many people are living in a house, or perhaps a suburb, town or a city, or how many of them are male or female, how many have jobs, how many are retired, how many are at school or university, how many of us speak different languages at home, how many of us belong to different religious groups, or how many of us rely on community services, and how much money each household earns. The idea is that on one night, every 5 years, the government asks every house in the country to stop and take stock of who's there, and what they do, and what government services they need. And tonight's that night. Some 10 million households, covering Australia's 25 million people, are expected to fill out this year's census. And it's all really important information to help the government paint a picture of modern-day Australia and then use that picture to make decisions about how to best run the country. Which suburbs need more schools, which ones need more transport, which ones need more hospitals. There you go. So now you know.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Vanuatu, where traditional building methods are making a comeback. Back in 2015, a massive cyclone devastated our Pacific Island neighbour, displacing 65,000 people and destroying 17,000 modern buildings. But people who sought shelter in traditional structures known as cyclone houses made it through just fine. And now, perhaps not surprisingly, more and more of them are being built all over the country. A cyclone house is designed as a place for villagers to sleep. It's low to the ground and its frame is buried in the ground. The walls, roof and beams are all made from plants that are especially chosen for their flexibility and durability. That is, their ability to bend and still be strong. As well as being safe in a storm, locals say a cyclone house is also a great place to spend the night. The natural materials act as insulators, keeping you warm on a cool night and cool on a warm one. Take a look in your episode notes for some photos of a typical Vanuatu cyclone house.
Sport time!
Did you know that netball is played by an estimated 20 million people in more than 80 countries around the world? So, why isn't it an Olympic sport? That's the question being asked of the International Olympic Committee, with Netball Australia, the people who run the sport here in Australia, determined that netball will be an Olympic sport by the time the 2032 Brisbane Games roll around. Star shooter Gretel Bueta, formerly known as Gretel Tippett, yesterday joined calls for netball to be played at Olympic level, saying it was important for all the girls here in Australia and around the world who played the game every weekend to be able to dream of one day playing for a gold medal. And boys, don't think you don't have a vested interest in this. According to Netball Australia, more and more boys are playing the sport, such that by 2032 there could well be a standalone national men's competition. Contact!
Animal Kingdom.
Let me introduce you to Truffles, the cat. Truffles lives in the United States with her human mum, Danielle, who is an optometrist. An optometrist is someone who checks your eyesight and fits you for glasses if you need them. And lots of people need glasses, whether it's to read or even to see things in everyday life. The thing is, lots of kids are a bit scared when they go to an optometrist. They're nervous or self-conscious about having to wear glasses, which is where Truffles comes in. She's become famous in her town for wearing glasses, to put the kids at ease. They see Truffle wearing glasses and they giggle, and suddenly it's not so bad or scary for them to do the same. Truffle's owner Danielle says her kitty has helped hundreds of local kids overcome the fear or self-consciousness of wearing glasses. And along the way, Truffles has accumulated an impressive collection of fancy eyewear. Apparently the purple ones are her favourite. And if you take a look at the photos in today's episode notes, you'll understand why. She looks very fashionable for a cat.
Q&A call out.
Are you missing the Olympics already? Yeah, me too. But don't worry, because the Paralympics are on their way. And to celebrate the fact we'll soon have a whole new bunch of sports to get excited about, we've invited Aussie Paralympian Tyan Taylor to take the Squiz Kids hot seat and answer your questions before she heads to Tokyo. Tyan is one of the greatest goalball athletes this country has ever produced, and this is her third Paralympics. Now, what's goalball? Only a really cool Paralympic sport played by teams of people who are visually impaired, which is to say their eyes don't work as well as other people's. There are links in your episode notes to learn all about goalball. Tyan will also be happy to answer any question you might have about how the Paralympics work, how they're different from the Olympics, what sorts of events there are, how many countries take part, and even how she got into goalball. But don't dilly-dally. Tyan's got a plane to catch to Tokyo, so you need to get your questions in by Friday. Email them through to squizkids@thesquiz.com.au.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What's the name of the big government survey that's happening across the country tonight? That's right, it's the Census. Question number 2. Which South Pacific nation has started experimenting with traditionally made cyclone houses? Yeah, it's Vanuatu. Question number 3. What's the name of the cat in the US that's helping kids who go to the optometrist? You got it, her name's Truffles.
Shout outs.
It's August 10, the first day of the Islamic New Year. Happy New Year! It's also a special day to these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Vincent from O'Halloran Hill, Xavier from Bathurst, Akira from Abbotsford, Blake from Woodhill, Ethan from Albany Hills, Luca from North Parramatta, Isabella from Five Dock, Eli from Nambucca Heads, Matilda from Brisbane, Phoenix from Queanbeyan, Thomas and Kira, who are twins from Canberra, Emma, Phoebe and Ava from Cannon Hill, Finlay from Singapore, and Violet, who's listening all the way over there in New York City. And a belated birthday shout-out today goes to Max from Northbridge. Plus, because our friends in Victoria and Greater Sydney are still in lockdown, we're continuing to send out home learning herograms. To all the Year 3 and 4 kids from Mount Terry Public School in Albion Park, your teachers want you to know how proud they are of all the hard work you're doing homeschooling and that you have to stay strong and positive. Also, a herogram to Ms. Lyon and classes 2W and 2L at Camaret Public School. And thank you, Ms. Lyon, for making Zoom calls really fun. And lastly, Charlotte in grade 1 at St. Robert's Primary School in Geelong sends a herogram to all her classmates and teachers, Miss Grinter and Miss Chelsea, who have all just started lockdown number 6. Hang in there, guys. Plus a couple of classroom shout-outs to those of you not in lockdown. To Mr. Stewart's 5-6 class at Burrawa Central School, the grade 5-6 classes at St. Joseph's Primary School in Narrandera, and their teachers Mrs. Graham, Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Flynn. And lastly, 4PA and Mrs. Plamenak at Albany Hills State School. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, or you'd like to send a home learning herogram, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out. Squiz Kids is proudly supported by the Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.